For those of you who are Christians, you know about the most important person in the New Testament besides Jesus, which is a man by the name of Paul, also known as Apostle Paul or the Apostle to the Gentiles. He wrote over 18 or 19 books of the New Testament, and Paul was not always a supporter of Christians. In fact, he was the opposite. He persecuted Christians as a Pharisee. Then something happened in his life. He said he had an out-of-body experience. He went from persecuting Christians to spreading Christianity more than anybody else in the scriptures. The same can be said about Malcolm X. He was a brother that was a pimp. He dealt drugs. He was a petty criminal. Then he became one of the most upright figures in the African American community with his work in the Nation of Islam and also fighting for the rights of African Americans. He was a guy of great faith, a man of high values. This is the question with Brittany Renner. Now, Brittany Renner is a former IG model, a lady who has been quite belligerent in her past.
To be wet.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never been wet before, but yeah, I'm sure it's uncomfortable to be wet.
You know, moist is one thing, but wet is just another.
It's uncomfortable to be wet.
Yeah. This
Is
ain't,
it?
yeah.
I've never been wet before, but yeah, I'm sure it's uncomfortable to be wet.
You know, moist is one thing, but wet is just another.
Or
It ain't what we shooting for. You know what I mean?
you think it what?
Isn't that?
Miss Ma'am.
No?
No,
Miss
come on,
Ma'am.
please. Come on, man, please.
No?
Come on,
I
man,
need you
please.
to you to be kind and respectful to my guests.
Oh, boy, come on, man, please.
Oh,
I ain't gonna get you.
where that pig poker at, man? Go ahead and get the pig poker out.
But now Brittany Renner has made a change in her life just 3 months ago. And we couldn't believe it when Brittany Renner came to Instagram and changed her appearance to this.
First of all, honey, you know what I've noticed? In any message I share, for the record, always applies to myself. Like, I'm not exempt just because I'm sharing it. So I've noticed that we want to sign your sign. Mind you, we've been getting dreams, songs, angel numbers, that post that came across our feed that just so happened to apply to our situation. But we want the sign to be on the billboard in big red letters, lit up with glitter. And it's almost as if we're waiting for this moment to feel ready. You're not going to feel ready for something you've never done. That's why you have to get pushed. We're also waiting for us to trust the outside world and the people in it. But a bird doesn't trust the branch it lands on. It trusts its wings. And you should do the same.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, most of us are betting for Brittany Renner to fall out of faith, to go back to what she has been doing. That's what we've been believing. But Brittany Renner doesn't seem to be doing that anytime soon.
What made you choose Islam? I didn't. I am a human with very limited power and awareness, but I have learned that God selects who he wills for his mercy. So let's start there, for those of you who don't think I'm qualified, okay? A lot of you claim to know my life story, why I do what I do. Well, then you would know that for quite a while I've been suffering. When did you notice that my smile began to look like a strain? And when you noticed, did you reach out? Okay. I've been in search of the truth my whole life, looking for some sort of guidance in the stars, astrology, numerology. But the truth is, the only guidance is God's guidance. And when you don't live for God, you live for others. My life has been a reflection of that. I have profited off my body, beauty, antics, often drunken, giving myself to the world, hoping for something back, wondering why I'm feeling empty, comfortable in my misery because I have known no other way. Mountains were moved in my life. We as humans would call them miracles, but to God, God wills and it is. It's not a miracle. It's another day at the office. At that point, how could I deny the truth? Because when those mountains started being moved, it was only because of prayer and acknowledging our Creator. That was the only difference. Islam is the only religion I've been drawn to. And when I got the call that it was time, I took my Shahada August 5th. Haven't looked back. All I know is utter devotion. So to put the hijab on, to change, it's nothing. Done. Allah has been answering my questions along the way. He called me to this faith for a reason, and I will not question it. You know when people say it would take an act of God? Okay, well, here you have it. And for those of you who are confused, I'm not surprised, because most of you are double-minded. A man who is double-minded is unstable in all his ways. For once in my life, doing this for me, to be right in the eyes of Allah, to die in full submission to Allah when it's time, is my only goal. In whatever stage Allah calls me to, I would be much obliged to take the well of wisdom that I've acquired with me and to do what I've been called to do. Because I have been gifted this platform for a reason, and I'm not going anywhere. Okay? Hope that answers some of you guys' questions. And may Allah make it easy for us all.
Brittany Renner is discussing something that I feel that maybe, us as content creators or us as people who just are so negative and don't take people seriously, we forget that people have the ability to change and people can change. There was a man in my life, I called him Grandpa Albert. He just recently passed away. And he told me that for 25 years straight, he would just drink every day. After work, he would just have a drink. And when he died, he didn't drink alcohol for like 35 years. He went like 35 years straight without a drink. And so one day I just decided that I didn't want to drink anymore. And so I just stopped drinking because I just didn't see any fulfillment for why I was drinking. And the same can be said for Brittany Renner. And I'm not trying to simp, and I'm not trying to say that what she's doing in her life is for show. Obviously, she's not making any money doing this. Obviously, she's making less money doing this. But everything is not about money, or everything is not about fame. And sometimes when you have all of those things and your life isn't right, it doesn't really matter. I will say this. I've been blessed the last decade of my life, mainly because of you, brother, who have supported me to see a different side of my life that I wasn't able to see in the last 30, 40 years when I was, in my early 30s. By the time I got 34, I was able to do some things that I wasn't able to do for my first 34 years of my life. And I really thought that having the extra money and the extra cash would make me happy. When I was in my undergrad, I was thinking about the big house that I can buy, the big car that I can buy, how I would feel by having, a black wife in the black community, going to my brother's black church, being a member and being somebody upstanding in the community. And of course, I still like nice things. I still admire nice houses. I still admire nice cars. But just because I had extra income and now I could buy the things that I wanted, it didn't make me necessarily feel better about myself. I called my mom around 2017, 2018. I walked in the mall one day and I said, Mom, I can buy anything, in this city almost, and that I was living in, and in the mall, and I was in the European mall, and it can't hurt me. There's literally nothing I can't buy today. And having that feeling, and still, you could be insecure about certain things. Still, you're not necessarily so happy with yourself. And a lot of people think that because you have money or because you have good looks, that you're happy with yourself and the person that you're becoming. And that's not necessarily true. Look at Mike Tyson right now. Mike Tyson had all the money that you can have and all of the success that one can have. And we see that Mike Tyson is more happy now in his life than he did when he had $300 million and he blew it. And the reason why I honestly believe that this is the reason is because he's okay with himself. And I think that there's so many guys out there that will do so much to get money, and they will try to get cars and try to impress women. I've seen YouTubers do that, and they go ahead and they go for that access and they go for that particular situation, only to find out that they are not happy as individuals. And then you end up dying for nothing or losing it all anyways. And I think that Brittany Renner, at least right now in her life, I can't say that she won't change, but she feels content because she's called by something higher than herself, which is the reason why she's on the way to where she is. Now, this is going to take me to another point. Islam is a very masculine religion. Okay. And this is something that I definitely understand. I mean, Brittany Renner could have went to the black church with a lot of ladies that was there, but she didn't choose that. She was choosing something that had a lot of structure and a lot of fundamentals that she can, attach to, which is probably why she didn't want to go to Christianity. And this leads me to just understanding how important that men are in general, especially if you're a man that you have some good, clear guidance for people to follow, or even for a woman to participate in. I don't know if you want to use the word follow or not. It's up to you. But, women like a masculine presence, and that's all that she seemed that she was looking for in her life, and she just could never get it in the way that she was behaving. It wasn't being attractive to her. But she's doing something that most people won't do, which is changing herself, and now she's allowing herself to be used for the right way. And you know what? I'm not a hater, man. I gotta say congrats to the person, because if you're gonna criticize Brittany Renner, what are you gonna say about Apostle Paul? I'm not saying that Brittany Renner is Apostle Paul or they're equivalent, but Apostle Paul made some mistakes and tried to correct them to become who he was. If we're gonna criticize Brittany Renner for trying to go on the straight and narrow, what can we say about Malcolm X, who at one point did 12 years or something like that in prison, 8 to 12 years in prison, and he did everything under the sun. But he changed his life because he made a decision. And I think that we are so hard on people and not wanting to give them a second chance in life. And everybody deserves another chance to prove themselves to get it right. Sometimes you might need 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or 7, or 8 chances, depending on what you're trying to do, right? As long as it's not too heinous. But for me, I'm not a hater. I'm going to go ahead on and salute to the sister, and hopefully she can keep going on the straight and narrow. After all, this is what black men keep saying. Why don't you, sisters, stop dotting it up? Why don't you clean yourself up? Why don't you stop doing that? Then at the same time, if I go into this video and I hear you guys talking about, oh, well, she a 3 or 4, well, then you're not actually being considerate, because you said that she was a 3 or 4. She's trying to change that about herself, and now you're still talking about her. I don't rock with that. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy LCD Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.